Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Pete with MixBetterNow.com, and I'm really excited because we're going to be taking a look at the brand new bass engine from our good friends at Output called Substance. Let's check it out. All right, so I have Substance pulled open here in Studio One version 3. Substance is the brand new bass engine virtual instrument from Output. If you guys are familiar with any of the other amazing Output products like Rev, Exhale, Signal, Movement, you'll know that the folks at Output are extremely forward-thinking and really exciting when it comes to plugin design, virtual instrument design. They like to go ahead and do things their own way that's super creative. They're not mimicking anything. They're not doing emulations of anything. This is just all forward-thinking, really killer-sounding virtual instruments. Substance runs on Contact 5, which for those of you who aren't familiar with that is you can find that through Native Instruments, and if you don't own it, you can always download a free copy of the Contact 5 player. Now, Substance is very interesting because it essentially, you get your overall bass tone from 3 different bass layers that we're going to be taking a look at. So it's essentially 3 different bass sounds that kind of come together to create one very original and cool sounding bass engine, okay? We have everything from acoustic basses, electric basses, analog synths, polysynths, woodwinds, brass sections. There's going to be plucks and stabs and all kinds of things that we'll take a look at. It is fully integratable with the Native Instruments Complete Control keyboards as well as the Native Instruments machine. So you can just go ahead and pull it all up right on there. It's super interactive, very intuitive. You know, and Output's goal is to not emulate, like I said, but to rather inspire and to come up with creative bass sounds. So let's go ahead and take a look at the GUI first. Okay, so one cool thing about Substance is it's actually Output's largest engine ever. It's a very deep tool, but it's also very, very easy to understand, and it's very cleverly laid out. I really like the interface. So when we pull it open here in Contact, this is the first thing you're going to see. Okay, so it's kind of divided. It almost looks like a pie graph, but each of these 3 sections is one of those 3 layers that I mentioned. Outside of that, we have our 4 macros. Now, these can be assigned to any features or functions inside of Substance. A lot of the presets will just automatically assign it to certain parameters, and you can tweak it from there. Speaking of presets, we have over, I think it's about, 300 presets exactly. If we go ahead and look on the right, we can scroll up and down to find whatever preset we would like to engage. We can also get a little bit more specific in terms of our searches here. We can sort of zone in on different characteristics by clicking on things like monophonic, clean, dirty, pad, simple, complex, aggressive, swell, sub, arp, so on and so forth. So first thing I'd like to do is let's just take a listen to a few of the presets. I know it can be a little bit tough for some folks because I know Output doesn't do demos, but the great thing about Output is they do offer a 14-day, no questions asked, money-back guarantee. So if you pick it up and you don't like it, you can absolutely return it. But I want to go ahead and play some sounds here so you can definitely get a listen. Now, just a disclaimer, I'm by no means a keyboard player, but I just have a MIDI controller in front of me, so I'm going to be playing some stuff. You can also go into your DAW and you can write MIDI notes into your MIDI arranger, but this is the first preset called Fat Bastard. I love it. So the sound that you're hearing, like I said, is comprised of 3 different layers. So if we take a look at this first one, you're going to see right here, it says low brass and woodwinds. We have simple synths over here. It says dirty saw and simple synths again. So what the simple synths and the low brass woodwinds stands for is the category. So if we go ahead and click on this, we're going to come to the category menu. Now, what this shows is we have 9 different categories that we could pick from to create a sound to blend together with the other layers. Right here, it's using the just swell sound. To make it a little bit easier to hear, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn these off. Now, you can power any of the layers on and off with these power buttons right here, okay? So we're going to take a look at the low brass and woodwinds right here. Turn that up. Okay, so we can basically toggle through all of these different sounds. Okay, so if you want to try a different sound here, you can go to a different category, simple synths, bass guitars, complex synths. And of course, you can keep toggling down and going through all of the different sounds. There is lots of different options. You can basically get as creative as you want. So let's go ahead and move some of these macros. Of these are assignable to different parameters, okay? Let's keep toggling through some of these presets. This is a really nice ARP sound. So why don't we stick with this for a minute? This is a great preset to go ahead and take a look at the arpeggiator that's built into Substance. The thing that's great about the arpeggiator is some of the presets will have the arpeggiator already turned on, but the ones that don't have it, you can go ahead and you can use any of the presets. You can turn the arpeggiator on and off by clicking here. Okay, so basically it gives you a whole variety of different different patterns that you could use for your ARPs. Now up top here we have our 3 layers still. You can see them based on color. Okay, so we can control the volume, and we can also power them off and on with these buttons right here. If at any time you get unfamiliar with what you're looking at, just go ahead and click on the main here, and it will bring you back to the home page, as I like to call it. So going back to the arpeggiator here, we can pick all of these different ARP movements, arpeggiated patterns, okay? We can go ahead and click on this button, and we can toggle through a pretty big library of different ARP patterns. So let's go ahead and listen. Okay, what's also cool is we have other options like syncopated. We can control and change the rate of them. So right now it's set to a 16th note, but we can speed it up if we want to go to something like a 64th note. We can slow it down to an 8th note. We can use dotted notes and triplets to go ahead and sync up very nicely with the BPM of your session. Let's go back to the 16th note, and we'll go to something a little bit more straightforward. So yeah, it's really that simple, okay? Like I said, you could turn it on and off there, and you could control the different layers of volume right here just by turning this up and down. And the arpeggiator is a really, really easy way to get clever and to get creative with whatever it is you are trying to basically design. We can also control how many steps we have. This is defaults to 32 steps. We could also change the amount of octaves. And one of my favorite features is we can actually reverse the pattern. So just click on it and it'll reverse it. The other thing that's very cool is we can just click randomize and it will put up a completely random pattern. And as if that wasn't enough, we can go ahead and physically draw in any patterns by hand. So, you know, the arpeggiator gives us lots and lots of flexibility and lots of options. Okay, so the next thing that I want to take a look at in the menu here is next to the main, we have our edit tab. So if we click on this, we can actually go ahead and fully edit any of the 3 different bass layers, okay? We have an ADSR menu here. We also have a pan knob. We have a stereo function where we can actually spread the stereo image wider if we want, or we can narrow it. We can transpose the pitch of the bass layer. We can also choose between a monophonic or a legato feel for the respective layer, okay? So if we come up and look here, for example, A stands for the attack of the sound. A higher value will basically result in a softer attack. What's nice is we have a visual image in this box here. So if I increase the attack, it's going to be a delayed time from where I actually hit the key. Okay, D stands for the decay of the sound. This is the time it takes for the sound to reach its sustain. S stands for the sustain, and R stands for the release. It's basically how quickly it will release the note. Here's the pan knob, so we can go 100% to the left or the right. Very cool. Now, I want to take a look at the stereo function. Okay, so this is a bright noise. We can actually change this. If we click on this, this will take us back to the category. So if we want to change it, very easy, very convenient. So right here, you can see it says spread. It's narrow, stereo, and wide. If you go to the original, you can widen it. So it really throws it out wide. We already went over the panning, and we can transpose the pitch. All very, very cool and helpful things. Let's go ahead and cruise over to the EQ. I'm going to grab a different preset. So we kind of have a wobble sound going on right now, and what's very cool about the EQ is we have 2 different options. There's a global EQ, which can control the overall lows, mids, and highs of all of the 3 different bass layers. We can also go in and individually EQ each of the layers. So as you can see with Polysynth, Blister Soon, and Junk in the Trunk, we can change all of these. We can turn them off. We can come over, for example, we can tweak the lows of just the one layer, the mids of the other, the high of the other, or we can come down here and we can do the overall. So if I go ahead and hit the key here, like if I wanted to add some more mids, so that's our gain. We can sweep the frequency. And of course, we can adjust the Q, which is also our bandwidth. Now, on the low and the high, we have an option to go between a bell curve and a shelf. In the mid is only a bell, and the same is applicable when you are individually EQing each of the 3 bass layers, okay? Moving over to the filters, go to another preset. Got a kind of a cool kind of swell sound going on. Now these control the filters again globally of the entire bass sound, or we can go ahead and zone in on each of the 3 independent layers which comprise our entire sound. So it has both the high pass and the low pass on. Let's go ahead and sweep these. Very cool. And you can also dial in the amount of resonant frequency of the global low pass or high pass filter. Extremely, extremely helpful. Just for fun, let's turn the arpeggiator on, because I said before you can do that with any sound. Go back to the filter. Now, like I said before, we can come into each of the bass layers and we can actually change if we want. Like, for example, this is a low pass filter. Here's another one with a steeper slope. We can choose high pass filter, so it flips it around, so we can go ahead and cut some of the lows. I mean, there's just so many different options. You have format filter types, okay? It is just very, very, very helpful when you're creating your sounds. We have a little bit of a cool bass bump going on with this filter. Again, we can come over and we can adjust the ADSR of the filter as well. So there's plenty of options to let you create your own sounds or to tweak the presets that are already provided. Moving over to the effects, this is probably one of my favorite features of the virtual instrument. Let's go ahead and grab another preset. Just trying to, let you guys hear as much of these as possible. Very, very cool. So again, it breaks it up into global parameters. So we can control the distortion, compression, delay, or reverb of all 3 bass layers together. Just give you an idea what that sounds like. So we have a little reverb on, we have a little compression on. The gray gets a little bit lighter when it's on. So if we click on reverb, this absolutely blows my mind, because not only do we have a pre-delay that we can dial in, we have a high pass filter, a low pass filter. We also have a dry wet knob, so we can add more or less reverb to our overall tone. But what we can do is we have a drop down menu right here, and we have a creative reverb sound. So you can see it says creative, and then there's a bunch of different reverbs, but we also have real reverbs. So we have ambient reverbs, we have halls, okay, and not just halls, but like different size halls, small, medium, and large. We also have room reverb, plate reverb, spring reverb. So I mean, if you guys also mix out there, your producers, I'm sure you're very familiar with working with effects. So what's brilliant about this is you don't have to go and reach, set up another send or incorporate some other type of reverb, to this instrument. It already has it ready to go, which is just extremely helpful and a joy to work with. So let's pick something like a long plate. Let's try a big hall. And if we dial up our wetness here, okay, we can turn it off by hitting the power button. So now we're dry, now we're wet. We can turn a little bit of delay on. And again, it's your usual suspects parameter-wise, the time of the delay, the feedback of the delay, which is also known as the repeats or the tails. We also have a pan knob here and a dry wet knob, so it's just absolutely easy to dial in. We have a compressor, all the usual suspects you would expect to find on a compressor: threshold, ratio, attack, release, gain, and there's also a limiter built in, so you can kind of mix your bass sounds without having to, bring other plugins in and stuff like that. So very cool. A little distortion here. So we have a cabinet section. There's a screamer section, which I'm sure relates to a tube screamer. We can add more drive. And again, we have another drop down where these are essentially amp settings. There's a Tweed, there's a Brit 60, a Vox AC30, even a Leslie feature, which is really cool. So, the creativity is just, it's unbelievable. We can do the same thing with all of the different bass layers here, but there's a few more different options that we have, okay? So we also have pitch, which is a little bit different, and motion, which are added in addition to these. So you could change the pitch of your bass layer, and you can also tweak the motion. Just very cool. Last up here, we kind of have a rhythm generator, okay? Let's go ahead and grab another preset. I want to specifically grab one that has a rhythmic characteristic to it. So what we're going to do is we can click on the rhythmic characteristic in the preset menu, which will bring up different rhythmic presets. So this is one of my favorites. It's called Tuba Arps. So if we click out of this, go back into the rhythm generator, I know it's going to look very similar to the arpeggiator because it is. So if we go to the rhythm down here, we have a lot of the same features, okay? So if we click on step or pattern, we can go ahead and pick different patterns, rhythmic patterns that is going to be played throughout the bass. Okay, and just like with the arpeggiator, we could also pick syncopated rhythms, triplets. We can invert those. We can randomize them. And of course, we can increase the rate or decrease the rate of the pattern. Not only that, but you can, of course, draw it in. You can get it as specific as you like by going in one at a time, or you can just do some cool sweeps. You can also swing it. You can change the amount of steps that you have, and of course you can customize that as well. If we go ahead back to a simple pattern, we can engage what's called the this flux button here, okay? And turning on the flux effectively modulates the rate of the main wave or the step rhythm, so it can add some modulation into it. Kind of hear it start to wobble a little bit. And And we can even dive a little bit farther into the flux feature. We can edit that a little bit more. Again, very similar to the patterns we were just doing, and similar to the arpeggiation. We can come in here, we can increase the amount of steps, we can decrease it, randomize it. We can change the flux rate so we can increase the speed, 16th note. So again, it's just another way for you to get creative with your sounds and the tone of all of your bass layers, that comprise your overall bass tone. I'm just going to play a few more, we'll go through a few more presets here. There's so much more that I could possibly explain in, 20 minutes or something like that, but... Like I said, 300 presets, and we'll clear this out. Go back to my favorites. Let's try another one. Just so fun. And like I said, we can arpeggiate anything. Go to the main menu again. Now we have a clean sub, a pluck swell, and a sub tsunami. So we have one shots here, complex synths here. If we wanted to, again, tweak sub tsunami without going into, without actually clicking on this, what we can do is click on these arrows, and it will toggle through all of the different sounds within that category. So there really is so many things that you can do with Substance from output that you could use on your productions in your music. Anything musically creative, Substance, I am positive can help you out with. It's so much more than just a synth to me. A lot of people think of it as a synth bass, but it has many more features than just synthesis. Okay. They've gone through great lengths to model all kinds of different sounds and to put them in here, as well as a slew of different effects. And this is probably one of my, as I say this with every output instrument, but it's probably one of my favorite new virtual instruments. All right, so that's it for me. My name is Pete with MixBetterNow.com. This has been somewhat of a semblance of a walkthrough and a review of the brand new Substance from our good friends at Output. There's just far too much stuff to, possibly condense into 20 minutes, 25 minutes, something like that. But I highly implore you to, pick up a copy, check it out for yourself. I'm pretty sure that you guys will enjoy it. So I hope you have an amazing day. I appreciate you guys watching as always, and I will catch you soon.